From Fox 8 Sports, this is the Overtime Podcast.
From the Fox 8 Studios in New Orleans is the Fox 8 Overtime Podcast. I'm Vasilios. That is Sean Fazende. Remember to like, subscribe, rate, and review. You guys can find us wherever you listen to and watch your podcast. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit the little bell notification button. You get an update every time we upload a new podcast. Sean, fifth victory Monday of the season so far. The Saints are back above 500 at 5-4 after taking down Bears at the Superdome on Sunday. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. How is everyone else feeling? I'm picking up on a kind of a whatever vibe on this victory Monday. I understand the look of the game didn't quite go as expected, but nonetheless, here we are on a victory Monday. Like Sil said, like this video, share, rate, review. If you're not a subscriber, be sure to subscribe as we pump out this podcast 3 times a week, wherever you get your podcast. So here we are, Saints 5-4, victory over Chicago, and Sil, why don't you start us off? Because frankly, they got the mission accomplished. It's just a matter of how do you want to view it?
So, like we do every Monday, I'm going to kick us off with, what does the big picture look like now after 9 weeks, Sean?
So we're going big picture like we do, like we start this podcast, because it's important. It's important to do that, just to kind of take a bigger view and then get into a little more of the finite details. Here's the deal. This particular win, and I am for certain none of y'all are doing this. There are no parades. You're not throwing rose petals at their feet over a flawless victory. It was a victory. It was not flawless. Some of y'all may be upset over that. Some of y'all may be not impressed with that. But I can promise you the Saints are taking it, and they understand where they stand. But the Saints did what no one else in the NFC South could do. There were a lot of close games in the NFC South, but the Saints were able to close out and win the game. So through 9 games, they are 5-4 and sit atop the NFC South. When I looked at this schedule before the season, and I kind of did my whole game-to-game, breakdown, realistically, I had them at 6-3. So while it didn't look like you probably would have expected it to look against a team starting a rookie quarterback from Shepherd University, making his 3rd career start, relatively healthy, +5 in the takeaway margin, 1 penalty. You still finished out with more points than your opponent. 5-4 ain't perfect, but it's good enough to be on top of the NFC South. And here's the thing, Sil, because this is what a couple wins can do for you in a weak division. It guarantees you that by the bye week, the week after next, or after this week, a week from Sunday, guarantees you are no worse than tied for first in the NFC South as you go into your bye week. Again, the road has not been smooth. It's been up, it's been down, it's been all over the place. The twists and turns of this season and how much the storylines have really navigated, and just sort of overall the play that we've seen, the inconsistency, they were able to do enough to get to 5-4, which leads me to my next point. And this is probably going to sound like, I'm not going to go there. This is I'll just leave it at this. If you're into style points, if you're into not just winning, but the way they won, they got to win a certain way. I'm sorry, you're living in the wrong decade. You're living in the wrong decade. The days of it, almost like a beautiful choreography to the offense and putting up 55 on a team, and the dome is rocking and crazy, and the opposition, the opponent can't do anything about it. Look, man, you're living in a different era. This ain't 2011. This ain't 2017. This is 2023. It's going to be a little more rugged. It's going to look a little more like this. It's not going to be quite as smooth. It's not going to be that feeling of when it all comes together, like a Broadway show almost.
Right.
It's going to look like this. And then there's sort of this, are you picking up on this? There's even some kind of a feeling of now that they've turned the corner and got to 5-4. Now that they might be hitting their stride a little bit. Not great, but good enough. Maybe there's some people out there that are actually upset at the winning, almost like because now it almost feels like, oh, well, I guess we're going to stay down this path. Oh, I guess they're not going to have the changes that they wanted.
And to a degree, I understand the frustration because you don't always want to be stuck in the middle if you're a fan of an NFL franchise. You want to either be really good or you want to be bad. And I don't want to say really bad, but bad enough that you can secure a top draft choice that would improve your team's future for the next 4 to 5 years. So I agree with both sides, but I mean, like, and just wanting to get out of the malaise that's in the middle of the NFL.
I get it, and not completely wrong, but I want to see how this year goes before I fully go all in on whether or not that is the correct approach. Again, I give you guys not only what I think, but what I believe the organization feels, because I have a small window into the organization, so why not share what I believe that they are thinking. They're not there. They are going to play this season out. They are not in the mindset of we need to tear it down and rebuild, and I know the whole pressure wash of the organization has been sort of the analogy that they've used, but they're not there. And they feel like every season is an opportunity. Right now, they're 5-4. They're not thinking, oh, well, this is going to lead us in the middle of the pack. Right now, they're thinking, well, maybe we can make a run here, win the NFC South, and who knows what can happen. There's something else. There's another layer to this as well. It's not right to the guys that are in the twilights of their careers that have done a lot for this organization to kind of punt on the season. Guys like Cam Jordan, guys like DeMario Davis. How many more opportunities are they going to get? Guys like, I mean, even Taysom's 33 years old. You know, I said before the season, they're counting on a lot of guys that are entering either the back half or back stages of their career. A guy like Michael Thomas is he might be 30. Is he 30 yet? He might be pretty close if he's not. So my point is, while that's sort of a popular line of thinking from those outside, I think inside they're not going to do that for those reasons. And I completely understand the idea of being 8-9 or 9-8, 9-8, and getting like the 19th pick in the first round. But I've said it before, and I will say it again. The Saints are not going to unplug and just tear it all down until they're forced to do that. And it doesn't look like this year they're going to be forced to do that.
Who knows when they're going to be forced to do that.
And look, we could be jumping the gun. Like I said, they're 5-4, and
anything can happen.
Anything could happen, but you look at next week in Minnesota, like I said, the worst you're going to be is 5-5 atop the division. And you come out the bye week, and who knows what could happen. So, look, big picture, I know there was a lot of layers to that big picture there, but I think it's important to point out, because I think now we've reached November. This is who they are.
Yeah.
And there's a reality setting in from the schools of thought of, because there's some people that they're never going to be satisfied with this regime. They want to just start over, turn the page, and inside the organization they feel differently. And as for me, I got to see this. I got to see more than just a season and a half of Dennis Allen before I'm ready to decide if it's the right or wrong decision to move. But I will say this. Their plan of getting back on top of the division, getting into the postseason, as weird as it's been to get there, objectively speaking, I think they're on track for that. As underwhelming as that might feel to some of you, I think inside the facility, they feel like at least they have that going for them. We'll see what happens after that.
So we talked big picture. Let's talk a little more detail stuff now, and we'll start with the offense as we usually do. Not really their best showing on offense against the Bears. You kind of expected a little bit more of an explosion from the Saints offense, and especially after the defense got 5 takeaways,
right.
You kind of expected a little bit more. What did you see from the offense that you liked and maybe disliked?
Look, I thought, well, first off, what I liked was Taysom.
Naturally.
I mean, has he catapulted himself to the best player on the offense right now? He's getting closer and closer. This is another game where he took over. This is a game where they really leaned on him. I mean, that record he set, 10-10-10, first guy since Frank Gifford. Frank Gifford last played in 1964, a totally different era, before they even had specialized kickers back then. It was a lot of guys, it was just totally different back then.
Multitasking, yeah.
It was guys that played, you'd look at their quarterback / halfback / kicker. It was that type of stuff. Today's NFL is just not built for that. So Once again,
let me put it like this:
Go ahead.
maybe not the most talented, but maybe the most dynamic,
the most unique. It's just rare to have that type of diversity in your skill set on the football field at this level. You see it at the high school level, just at this level. So, it's fantastic. And look, he threw one, he caught one, and the catch was the one that actually got him to the 10 and 10 record. It was a fantastic stat. When Jeff Duncan told me that originally, I was like, whoa, that really does go to show you just how much he's been, just how it really illustrates how unique of a player he truly is. As for the rest of the offense, look, with 5 takeaways, you'd think they'd come away with more than 24 points.
Yep.
But I thought Derek Carr was solid. I didn't think he was bad. I didn't think he was outstanding. I thought he was pretty patient, took what they gave him. It really lived in the underneath world. I don't think he took a shot all game.
Average, which is what we've been saying.
I thought he was solid. I didn't think, it was like a little over 200 yards, 2 touchdown passes. I thought the third down touchdown pass to Olave was fantastic. I thought there was a string of like 5 or 6 third down completions. It was solid in the red zone.
Yeah.
So, offensively, I'm fine with it. It wasn't fantastic, but it's not always going to be that way. They did enough to win. They got 24 points. They had the missed field goal, and they had that 4th and 1 stop, which I thought the play before to Olave, I thought he got the first down, but that's the way it goes sometimes. So I didn't come away feeling like bad about the offense because we've had plenty of Mondays where we felt bad about the offense.
For sure.
I didn't think Sunday was one of those times, and they got 24 points. It just goes to show you, if you got 24 points,
you have a pretty good chance.
You usually have a chance of winning with this team.
Yeah, all right. And how about the defense, where we talked about it already, 5 takeaways, but they had some shortcomings as well. Where do you fall on the defense?
Okay, so they have a problem because the line of scrimmage concern has officially shifted from the offensive line to the defensive line. This has been far too many games where they've been blown off the ball. Like, the front 7 did not play well in this game. They really did not play well.
And that's what we were kind of worried about too, like prior to the season when we were talking about training camp and everything like that, where this could be one of the weaknesses. They kind of gave us some hope at the beginning of the season, and now they're starting to like kind of wear down a little.
Starting to level off a little bit. Other than Carl Granderson, I can't say there's been a single guy that's really jumped out. I think Brzee has had his moments at times. They were getting blown off the ball.
You can kind of write them off.
And then there was a lot of undisciplined play. Felt like the linebackers were out of position quite a bit. They were getting crushed off the bootleg. The flat area of the field, that short 0 to 10 area near the sidelines, always seemed to be wide open. There was no one in the frame half the time early in the game. But much like the offense earlier in the year, they were able to offset down-to-down inefficiency. They really didn't find themselves down-to-down efficient-wise until the fourth quarter. They were able to offset that with 5 takeaways. And 5 takeaways, that was enough to offset what really was one of their worst games of the season by the defense. And it's been a couple of suspect outings by the defense. In particular, their inability to stop the run is a problem. But fortunately for them, they had a guy named Paulson Adebo who came to the rescue.
Career game.
Best games ever played as a pro. Had the interception, fumble recovery, forced fumble, another interception. The first interception was on his own thing where they dropped 8. He was able to kind of, the quarterback was late. He undercut the route, even though technically it wasn't his zone. The second interception, he was able to undercut a throw, a little late, a little off target. You know, the punch out in the fumble recovery was huge because that was early in the second half, third quarter. Is that right? Third quarter. And
the Bears
that was a big play. They had like a 20-yard connection right there. And it helps set the Saints up. And then the play no one's talking about was Saints are up 17-14, and it's on third down. They run that little smash concept, and I don't want to get too filmsy on you, but it's a corner route from the slot, and it's an underneath guy runs on the outside, runs kind of a shorter route, and they're in a cover 2, and he's able to undercut that corner route and knock down the at least be there to help disrupt the throw, which could have been a touchdown, which could have been a problem for the Saints because every point clearly mattered and every stop clearly mattered because that's how all over the place they seem to be defensively. So Paulson Adebo, without him, they lose. Let me say that again. Without him, they lose the game. That's how important he was to the Saints defense. And then Marcus May had a nice play on that interception. And, of course, Demario Davis seals the deal with the sack fumble. Pete Werner recovers. So, look, it was a kind of a chaotic defensive effort. When you talk about the terrible plays and the really big plays. And you would have liked to see the offense cash in a little bit more off of 5 takeaways. Who cares? I mean, we care, but the game's over and they're out on top. So that's really where they stand right now. But defensively, they're going to have to find themselves a little bit because that part of the identity of them being great, that's starting to slip a little bit. And I think that's something they had to be concerned with. Absolutely.
Boomer bust is the name of the game for the Saints defense as it stands right now. But we have a few fan questions that we try to get to every week. This first one comes from Oliver in Plaquemine. Looks like we made a mistake with our kicker.
All right, we got to bring this up. This is important. Good question. I don't know if that's a question.
The shine's starting to wear off a little bit.
If they're just figuring it out now, it's a problem. Look, he hit the 55-yarder. That was great. Blake Groupie. But then, he had a chance to put the game away. Game sealer, not game winner, game sealer. He wins that. They win the game. Was it 47-yarder? He doinks off the upright. The bottom line is this. With the game on the line, can you trust Blake Groupie? You and I have both paused just now. I think that there's your answer. So the Saints, to me, would be doing – you don't have to do it right now.
No.
But the Saints, to me, would be doing themselves a disservice if they don't take a hard, close look at their kicker situation and see what's available. And if they feel like there's an experienced guy that would be an upgrade that you can count on, you have to at least explore that option. And the ironic thing is we were calling for Lou Headley a couple weeks back, and I kind of feel like he's done better the last couple of weeks.
He's definitely stepped his game up a little bit.
So, Oliver, you have a good point there, and I just wonder where their confidence level is right now with Blake Groupie because it's too important to the formula. You've got to be able to count on points when you can get them.
All right, this next question comes from Big T on the West Bank.
Big T.
Thank you for the specifics, bro. Was it a good move to switch Andrus Peat and James Hurst?
First off, like I mentioned earlier, the line of scrimmage concern has now shifted to the defensive side of the ball. Offensive line-wise, I said it before, I will say it again. When Derek Carr trusts his protection, you see the difference. I thought he trusted it again. Like I said, that third down touchdown throw to Olave was a perfect example of that, where he stayed in the pocket, trusted the blitz pickup and his protection, and delivered a strike. At no point did I feel like during training camp, preseason, or even early in the regular season that the right 5, the correct 5 would somehow involve Andrus Peat at left tackle and James Hurst at left guard.
I know. I'm with you.
But if it works, so be it. Yeah. And it's worked the last couple of weeks. I'll be very curious if Andrus Peat can keep that going. But right now it's working, so I wouldn't mess with it. I know Hurst came back this week and bumped Max Garcia. I do think he's a little bit better than Max Garcia, but if they would have kept it like it was the last couple of weeks, I would have been fine with that as well. But that's working right now, so you have to stay with it. And look, we were critical of the Trevor Penning benching a few weeks back.
Yeah.
Maybe they knew what they were doing. Yeah. Maybe we don't. Because I thought he was showing some improvement, but clearly that has stabilized a little bit, and I think that's helped put the quarterback's mind at ease a little bit.
I kind of ragged on Doug Marrone a few weeks ago, and I mean, maybe I was wrong.
Maybe. It's early, but it's not early, but it's midway. So we'll see.
So we'll see the rest of the way. But this next question now comes from Harry in Metairie. This is a long one, so bear with me. Mm-hmm. The defense didn't cover the back out of the backfield on more than a few occasions, resulting in at least a first down. What happened to just do your job? Someone is responsible for the back coming out of the backfield. Also, I'm tired of check down passes to stationary receivers who get hit hard and gain little to no yardage. Surely there must be an option to have the check down receiver moving in some fashion.
Yeah, I'll make it to that in a second. But look, what happened was they had no backside contain. They struggled with the bootleg. They struggled with the misdirection. Again, Zach Bond seemed to be on the field a lot in the first half. He just seemed to be out of position a lot.
Yeah.
And it just seemed to be, eyes were telling a different story. They were getting, caught with false steps on the play fake, trying to backtrack, getting caught in the wash with crossing routes. Containment was broken, and when you play a certain coverage and containment gets broken, good luck. So I'm right there with you. They've got to fix that. I mean, they have got to fix that. And they really didn't fix it until the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Badger kind of fell apart a little bit in the fourth quarter. But for like the first half, he was in control of that game.
He was
like,
moving.
Control of it. Like the Saints defense was completely on their heels.
The game plan around Bagent was just.
And I'm just
A1.
wondering if they showed some stuff they hadn't shown on tape the previous couple of weeks with him.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, like Pete Werner said after the game, that he said that maybe he was a little more athletic than we gave him credit for.
Mm-hmm.
So
he was moving.
He was definitely moving. I mean, you would have never known that guy as a rookie from Shepherd. I mean, he was making some decent plays in that game. As for his question about the check down, I understand. There's a couple times where like there's just a guy standing off to the sideline, and that's where the check down goes. I'm not sure why that is. Usually a check down is a little further down the field, and there's been a couple times where he's checked it down and there's just not much room to run after it.
Yep.
Look, sometimes that happens in a check down situation, but I understand what he's saying there.
Yeah. All right. So last question. This one is a little bit short and sweet. It's from Keith and Tickfaw. Mm-hmm. Where has Jimmy Graham been?
Inactive, healthy scratch. I think what you saw this week is probably what you're going to see going forward if everyone is healthy. I think you're going to see the tight ends be Jawan Johnson, Foster Moreau, and Taysom Hill. That's how it's going to be. I said a couple weeks back that Jimmy Graham, I understand the connection. I understand the
nostalgia.
The nostalgia. But Jimmy Graham, to me, looks like 36-year-old Jimmy Graham, not 28-year-old Jimmy Graham. And I just think the coaches have discovered that, and they have moved on. Now, I do think he gets back into the rotation at some point if there is an injury in some form. But as they currently stand, he was a healthy scratch the last couple. I mean, I know that technically last week it was illness, but I mean he's been a healthy scratch. I think that just goes to show you where they're at with Jimmy Graham right now. And I know the fans want to see the Jimmy Graham of old running that goal line fade, running that seam. It's just not there.
Again,
it's just not there. I didn't look.
It's like you said earlier, living in the wrong decade.
That you're living in the wrong decade if that's where it's at. I hate that because I wanted it to work, but I just think not every move is going to work out to be, the bring back the good old days. I mean, just think back. They brought back Roman Harper. They brought back Robert Meacham. They brought back Mark Ingram.
Mm-hmm.
It rarely works. So just the way it goes.
Any final thoughts on this Victory Monday, Sean?
Hey, I enjoy it. I know it kind of feels a little weird, but they're 5-4. It could be a lot worse. They're atop the division. We're in November, so it's not like it's new. Next week's going to be an interesting week. We'll get more into that matchup coming up Wednesday and Friday. But for now, enjoy the W.
Yeah, I mean, hey, enjoy this W because you weren't able to enjoy the Tigers W on Saturday. But
you had to go there.
I did. Hey, at least Tulane won, right? But for Sean Fazende, I'm Vasilios. We'll catch you guys on the next episode of the Fox 8 Overtime Podcast.